I'm not a politician. I'm not a historian. I'm a jazz pianist and composer and recording artist and touring active musician and teacher. And I'm very happy. I'm not a bitter old guy. I have a good life. I have money. I have clothes. I have heat. I have friends. This is not an angry rebuttal or show of bitterness for the world. But I do want to use this to just lay out how I feel about what's going on in the world now, and also some history about me and my life experiences and why I have come to these conclusions. And I'd like to share them with you because there might be people that agree or disagree. I hate bullies of any kind. And we have bullies in the world. It's a personality type. And of course, a bully that bullies you in school when you're 12 is one thing. But when a bully gets enormous power like Putin or Milosevic, they become dangerous. And that's one situation we are in now. And let me go back to my experience with bullies. When I was 12 in Brooklyn, Bensonhurst, New York City, in the 50s, I was going to school. And I was short and very slight. And my name is Beirach, so I was first online and shortest in the class. I was a pianist already, studying piano when I was 12. And in the schoolyard were kids of all ages and races. In Bensonhurst in the 50s, we had an interesting combination of Italian Catholic serious mafia. We had Jewish, then we had Orthodox Jewish. We had a few Black people and some Puerto Rican people and Chinese people. And it was kind of, it worked. It was a community. You know, you went to the laundry and you had to deal with the Chinese guy. You went to the Chinese restaurant. A Black person could be making your sandwich in the deli. You went and had pizza with the Italians. It was all, the bakery was Jewish with cream cheese and bagels and lox. You know, when you have to deal with someone, when someone does a service for you and they're making sandwiches for you or food, you can't treat them badly because your life is depending on them. So we kind of all got along, and there were some rules. We had rules, unspoken rules, basic stuff. Okay, I'm in school, I'm 12, I'm in the schoolyard, and there are a bunch of bullies, and these happen to be dumb Italian kids that were left back. So you have a 16-year-old kid who has been left back 3 times because he was too stupid and do the work. So he was tall and big. This is the classic, this particular guy, his name was Frankie. He was very tall. He looked like the guy from Grease, you know, Travolta with the black shiny hair with a white t-shirt and the black pants with a pack of cigarettes under his thing. A lot of girls liked him. So he started in on me, teasing me about my music, because in those days, any boy that was interested in music, or especially classical music or dance, was made fun of. So he started pushing me around and said, "You're gonna carry my books." So I don't know why, but I got so mad. I said, "No, I'm not," which was very stupid and dangerous. So of course he smacked me right in the face, really hard. And I ran away. I was crying. I just ran, panic, real panic. My face was hurting. I ran home. I only lived 5 blocks from the school. My father was home for lunch with my mom. My father was a World War II veteran, combat medic, landed in the second wave in Omaha Beach. Great guy, not very educated, just loved me, loved my mom, and was just, you know, the great generation, those guys. He was one of them. So I come in, I'm crying. He goes, "What's the matter, kid?" So I said, "Oh, he beat me up and this shit." And my mother comes running over, and my father tone changed, and he said, "Okay, come and sit down. We're going to talk about it." I said, "Okay." So he said, "Tell me what happened exactly." So I told him I was crying. My mother tried to comfort me and get me some, milk. He wouldn't let her. He just wanted to hear the story. So then after I did, she said, "Listen, I want you to trust me. We're going to make this okay. Don't worry." He said, "You're going to go back to the school right now." My mother, like she said, "Irving," like that was his name, Irving, and my mother's name was Beatrice. And he said, "Be quiet, Beatrice." I said, "I can't go back. He'll kill me." He said, "No, he's not going to kill you, and you're going to go back. This is what you're going to do. This guy is called a bully, and he likes to hurt people, but he's insecure because he would never pick on someone his own size. So that's how you can tell. They're all insecure. They hate themselves, and they make themselves feel good by picking on people that can't really fight back." So So I started to cry. I said, "Listen, I can't go back. He'll kill me." He said, "No, just listen to me." So my father laid it out. Long story short, he said, "You're not going to go to fight. You can't fight him. You don't know how to fight, and he's too big. You go, you get behind him, you pick up a stick or a brick, and you hit him hard and run away." And I said, "But he'll kill me." He said, "No, he won't. Just do what I say." He said, "I love you. I'm not going to send you out to get killed." My mother says, "Really?" He said, "Look at me." He said, "You have to do this. You have to do this for yourself. Otherwise, you think he's going to stop? You got to send him a message." I'm scared, really scared. So I had to do it. He said, "Just go do it." I said, "Will you come with me?" He said, "No, I can't come with you. You have to do this yourself." I said, "Okay." Long story short, I went back. So I'm small and I'm kind of frail, but I have strong hands and I'm smart. So I saw a stick laying on the side of the, the schoolyard, and it was a broken off stick. It had a sharp point on it. And he's talking. They were talking about me, and he was laughing. He was facing the girls, and I said, "Just do it." So I picked up the stick and I stuck the sharp end of the stick in the back of his calf, and I shoved it in very hard. It stuck there. He went down, and he was crying, grabbing and saying, "Oh my God." And I ran. I probably ran 100 yards like in 5 seconds. I ran home. My father's standing at the door like Superman, like blocking the door. And I come running up and he says, "Did you do it?" Like, in other words, he's not going to let me in unless I did. And I said, "Yes." So I come in, I get a big hug. He said, "Tell me what happened." So I can't stop hyperventilating. I threw up a little bit. Anyway, I finally told him exactly what I did. And he said, "Good boy. I love you. You did a great thing." My mom gave me a nice hot chocolate. Right? So now I'm feeling really good. And he said, "Okay, when you go to school tomorrow, um, nothing is going to happen. Don't worry." I said, "Okay, but can you come with me?" He said, "No, can't come with you." I said, "He'll kill me and his friends." I said, "No, he's a bully. He's weak. Bullies work in packs. He's going to see you and he's going to remember you hurt him and he's going to walk away or look for somebody else that's not going to fight back." So I didn't sleep at all. I was really scared. I'm really scared. It was worse than the first thing. So I go there. I walk in. I walk into the schoolyard to get into the class. He's standing there with a bandage on his leg. He sees me. He turns around and walks away with a limp. Unbelievable. My father. Okay. Now, what does all this have to do with Putin? Putin is a super bully, right? And he's KGB. And by the time those guys are trained, they have no feelings left in them. They're killers, licensed by the state. KGB, FSB. He is a sociopath, Putin, right? It's a particular psychological, which sociopaths don't care about other people, like normal human. They don't have, they're missing a chip. If somebody's laying in the street bleeding, they walk right over him. They don't care. They don't care. Lots of sociopaths. A lot of serial killers are sociopaths because how else can you kill all those people without, having any kind of sense of human empathy? He's like that. That makes him dangerous. The point is, he's been testing the West for years, especially with Crimea, because he walked in and took it. Okay, there are a lot of Russian people in Crimea, Russian-speaking people, but Ukraine's a sovereign country. He will not recognize it. He still thinks it's part of Russia, and he's going to make it that way. And the West are weak and divided. And he tested them, and nobody did anything. Of course, they put sanctions on him, money sanctions, and they said, he's a terrible guy, and they made speeches at the UN, which we'll talk about later. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about what people think of him. And he has money. It is said that he has stolen over his 22 years €1 trillion from the Russian people. That's why nothing works in Russia. He doesn't care. So he's got money, him and his oligarch friends. So the problem is he just, again, did another one. He walked in and he, fighting with his dumbass soldiers, and he just annexed 4 other parts of Ukraine. Just did it. Everybody's talking. Everybody's saying what a bad guy he is. More sanctions. Give more weapons to Ukraine. Now, cynically, Ukraine's not a NATO country. Putin would never put one foot in a NATO country because he knows that NATO is a monster modern army that would snap down on him and wipe him out in a minute, especially with his ridiculous World War II army, right? The point is, he wouldn't do that, but he picks on the smaller countries that are not connected to NATO. It's like, when the cheetah is trying to get some food in the wild, the first things they pick out of the herd are the weak ones, the sick ones, and the babies. They eat them first. They don't go after the healthy ones that are running. They attack the weak ones. That's what Putin is, okay? So he would never attack a NATO country. But he has to be sent a message. You want to stop this war tonight? This is my idea. And this is where the United Nations come in. United Nations is one of the most ridiculous, hopeless, inept, hypocritical organizations ever. Because they were created specifically to stop genocides and wars. In 1945, what was the theme of the UN? Never again. Well, guess what? Since 1945, there have been many, many genocides. So they should really be again and again. You think about Milosevic, genocide, Pol Pot, genocide, Charles Taylor, Idi Amin. And now there's an ongoing genocide that you can watch on the news every night in Ukraine. And nobody does anything except talk. So the UN, in my case, is really hypocritical. They have no teeth. How could they have thought when they were putting it together that they would organize 190 countries without an army, without teeth? Did they think that if you asked Milosevic and Putin and Stalin to please stop doing the genocide, you think they're going to say, yes, okay? What lack of brain power is this? These are intelligent people, supposed to be sophisticated. It's stupid. So that's my book, my case with the UN. It's very upsetting. Now, does the UN do good things? Yes, of course. If there's an earthquake, an avalanche, a flood, they send people, they have money. They're very helpful. Absolutely right. But the other insane infrastructure of the UN, to have a Security Council, which makes very important decisions, and to have Russia with a veto vote on the Security Council with China. These are two of the biggest civil rights violators in the world. You don't have to be a genius to see something's wrong. So nothing can get through. Nothing. The UN is a failure. So my idea, and I'm sure many people, but maybe they don't want to say it, this is not specifically against Putin the man. I don't know him. It's just a type. They should have stopped Hitler in 1933 in Munich. Would have saved 6 million Jews and gypsies. But people don't want to step up and do it for many reasons, some of them good. Putin needs to be sent a message. Now, what was the message that I gave to that big Italian dope? I stuck a branch in his leg and hurt him. Okay, that's very personal, very specific. But Putin is different. He doesn't care about money. You can't get to him to assassinate him, and I wouldn't suggest that. I wouldn't suggest that anyway. He's concerned mostly because he's 70 now with his legacy. Legacy. What will he be remembered as? Okay. You need a symbol that will destroy his shell, that will scare him. This is a kind of a funky example, but I think everyone will know it. Remember The Godfather, Godfather 1? When the Hollywood producer would not give the Sinatra character the part he wanted? That was a true story with Sinatra, and the movie was From Here to Eternity. He just wouldn't give him the part for his own personal reasons. So what did The Godfather do in his brilliance? He didn't send a team to assassinate him. That wouldn't do any good. He wanted the part. So how do you get somebody to do something that they don't want to do for whatever reason? He's a genius, The Godfather. He found out that the producer's most valued possession was not his son or his wife or his money, but he had a fantastic horse. He had an Arabian stallion that he loved above all things. What did he do? He sent some heavy team. They cut the head off the horse, put the head in the bed, didn't even wake him up, didn't touch him, and he woke up with the horse's head, his favorite thing in the world. And he freaked out. Of course, the next day he gave Sinatra the part, and in the real life, Sinatra got the part and got an Academy Award for From Here to Eternity. So think about this. The terror of that producer waking up, and the abysmal fear, like someone would be so cruel and barbaric to pick that thing to send that kind of a catastrophic message. Okay, it was terrible. I felt bad for the horse. What is a symbol? What's a great symbol in Russia? Well, it's very simple. The Kremlin. The Kremlin, when you see the Kremlin, it's so beautiful. It's so elegant. It's so original. It's so creative. It's a symbol of Russian power and culture, the fantastic Russian culture. And there it is, Red Square. Do you think that you would get his attention if the Kremlin was disappeared? Yeah, I think so. Now, so well, he's going to fire nuclear weapons. He's not going to go anywhere near nuclear weapons because he knows as soon as he even gets the idea to launch something, he will be obliterated. We can see everything he does by satellites. He's not doing anything now. He's not moving the nuclear weapons into position. They're not sophisticated there anymore. They're World War II stuff and Cold War. He was not going to use nuclear weapons. He's just threatening. So now, wouldn't it be terrible to blow up the Kremlin? It's so magnificent. Yes. And with people inside? Yes. But how many thousands of people have already been brutally murdered in Ukraine? In my opinion, you get rid of the Kremlin, and it can be done without losing any lives from America or the West or NATO, long-range missiles. He will be so scared that of the brutality and the catastrophic results of and humiliation that he will disappear, go to a bunker, will kill himself, or they'll get rid of it. Or whoever the guys that are there, they'll say, oh my God, it's one thing to lose soldiers and lose, ground in Ukraine. It's another thing. Look at this. He won't do anything. They'll get rid of him. They'll have someone else. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the next person will be worse. But the truth is that nuclear weapons are not going to be used because it's not possible to win anything. And, the catastrophe that would follow a nuclear strike would blow back on Russia and it would be impossible. Another lesson from my great father is when I got older, when I was like 18, 19, I asked him, I said, Pop, you were in World War II. We went, yeah. I said, why did we have to drop the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Those were all innocent people. They were not soldiers. He said, that's true. It was terrible. I said, so why did they do it? I said, do you support it? I said, unfortunately, yes. He said, yes. I said, why? He said, let me ask you a question, kid. Did Japan ever attack anybody ever again? No. Okay, that's the lesson. And then I said, and by the way, in World War II, didn't we bomb Dresden and Hamburg and Berlin and a lot of other cities flat with thermite bombs that were almost as bad as nuclear weapons, burned everything to the ground? You've seen pictures of Berlin after the war. It looks like Syria or Ukraine. I said, why do we have to do that? Those were not soldiers. He said, I have the same answer, kid. Did Germany ever attack anybody again? No. That's the lesson. This is the deep lesson. It's the horse's head. You have to go 10 times more than the bully. Then they stop and they get it. So that's my presentation. That's my connection between the bullies and the UN being inept and incapable of action. Because if the UN had an army that has 190 countries, let's say it only had 3,000 super trained commandos from every country. And then if any dictator, if Milosevic tried he murdered 8,000 Muslim boys, they would be afraid to do it. Look at Putin. He won't go near a NATO country. He's telling you, I'm afraid of this. If the United Nations had a small, very competent army, like a mini NATO army, all this shit would be avoided. It's the lack of foresight and the stupidity and the inability to change. The UN's got plenty of money. They could change if they wanted to. Don't you think these countries contribute? Look at all the money. Don't you think they contribute an army? It would be fantastic. Make everyone safe. Of course, there's politics and corruption, blah, blah. I'm just saying. And I felt very good after I did that thing with that bully. I must say, I felt very good. And I felt bad for him because I never heard about him again, this guy, Frank. And who knows what happened, but I didn't care. But he was willing to destroy me. And I guess with my father's courage, I was willing to fight back. And that's what bullies don't like. They don't like when you fight back, really. or this proxy army. So that's basically what I wanted to say. And I'm looking for feedback. I'm looking for conversation and like to know what you all think. And thank you very much for listening.